let's see, Naveen.
Hey, Ron. It's a foreign policy question and a couple quotes on what the founding fathers said and your opinion on how that's different in today's world, and if it is, if it's not, but if it is, in what way. George Washington said, while we should extend economic ties with other nations, we should maintain as little political connection with them as possible. And John Quincy, this is a quote from him. He says, America as a nation, she does not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. And while she is a well-wisher of freedom and independence of all, she is a champion and a vindicator only of her own. Right. So how do you think is that same today, in today's world, or different, and in what ways?
No, I mean, nothing about that is the same today was. And I'm a huge supporter of that attitude. That is, I've said this often, I wouldn't have an embassy in Beijing. I wouldn't have an embassy in Moscow. I wouldn't have an embassy in Riyadh. Bring all those diplomats home. Why are we even talking to these monsters? We shouldn't be engaging with them at all until and unless they violate America's rights. And then we should crush them, right? And then come home. We shouldn't be there to establish democracies and teach them. But from afar, we should be a shining beacon on a hill for them to model. So that's the equivalent of John Quincy Adams' statement. I agree with John Quincy Adams in that sense. But we do the opposite. We're in everybody's life. We're involved with anybody. We should defend the shipping lanes for free trade. We should have zero tariffs in America. And we should tell anybody who attacks us that they will be crushed and destroyed, and otherwise leave the world alone. That would be my
fault. Is that the same with our allies, countries like Israel?
Yeah, our allies, we should form alliances with our allies to help protect the shipping lanes and help protect us from terrorists and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be telling the French what they should or shouldn't do, but I think we should have diplomatic relationship with them, because there are certain things that we should be discussing, but it should be minor, because business should be free and other things should be free. And the government, what issues are the government involved in? Very few in a free society. In the days of John Quincy Adams, what did the government have to do? Very little.
Right. So if you're not involved, how about declaring things? For example, government proclaiming that we're against Chinese violating.
We should definitely do that. So that's where we are an example, a moral example. So we say, we think the way Saudi Arabia treats women is horrific. There are standards, individual rights. We feel bad for the individual rights of the Saudis. We're not going to do anything about it, but we want to let you know that's having a moral, a moral perspective on the world. And I think it's important to make those declarations.
Okay, thank you.
And about Hong Kong and about, I wouldn't go to war, but making it clear to them. All right.
And to begin with, I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize. I know this is difficult. Can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute, that man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it, and that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith.
On faith?
Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
All right, all right.
Now, may I define what my morality is?
All right.
Because this is merely an introduction. My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on Earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute, by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
May I?
All right, before we go on, reminder, please like the show. We've got 163 live listeners right now, 30 likes. That should be at least 100. I figure at least 100 of you actually like the show. Maybe there are like 60 of the Matthews out there who hate it, but at least the people who are liking it, you know, I want to see a thumbs up. There you go. Start liking it. I want to see that go to 100. All it takes is a click of a thing, whether you're looking at this. And you know, the likes matter. It's not an issue of my ego. It's an issue of the algorithm. The more you like something, the more the algorithm likes it. So, you know, and if you don't like the show, give it a thumbs down. Let's see your actual views being reflected in the likes. But if you like it, don't just sit there. Help get the show promoted. Of course, you should also share. And you can support the show at JeronBrooksShow.com/support, or on Patreon or Subscribestar or Locals, and show your support for the work, for the value hopefully you're receiving from this. And of course, don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, even if you just come here to troll, or even if you're here like Matthew to defend Marx, then you should subscribe, because that way you'll know when to show up. You'll know what shows are on, when they're on. You'll get notified, right? So, yes, like, share, subscribe, support. Like, share, subscribe, support. There you go. Easy. Do one or all of those, please.